Hello everyone, Johnny Hurricane here from GamersHeroes.com, and why don't you sit back, relax, and let me tell you about Hades. Hades follows the stories of Zagreus as he attempts to escape the underworld. Zagreus is the son of Lord Hades, who is the lord of the underworld. The rules for the underworld are pretty simple. No one leaves. Period. Zagreus defies his father's wishes and seeks freedom on the surface world. To do this, he will have to escape his father's many minions and followers, and then fight his way to the surface. As it is currently in early access, it's hard to say how long it is, but as of writing this, I have over 30 hours playtime in Hades. Hades is a roguelike at its core, and as such, you will be dying. A lot. Upon death, you are brought back to the House of Hades and often ridiculed by your father in your futile attempts to escape. It's here where the supergiant roguelike differs from other roguelikes. The House of Hades holds more than just Hades and Zagreus. Other underworld deities roam here and have a relationship with Zag. Talking to them reveals that some silently support your endeavor to escape. Some are just indifferent about it, and others are actively trying to stop you. Achilles is your mentor, and he gives you information on enemies and weapons that will aid in your escape. Nyx, the Knight Incarnate, pretty much acts as your mother, and she only really wants what's best for you. Meg, the Fury, taunts and teases you, openly challenge you to find her on your way out, just to face you again. And of course, the ever-wise and watchful Lord Hades, who continually reminds you that you are just wasting your time trying to escape. And that are just a few of the individuals that you will run into while you are in the House of Hades. And each time you have a conversation with them, you want to listen and you want to figure out more about what's going on with them. On the other side of the coin, we have the gods of Olympus, who are actively fighting Hades to get you out. Their conversations are much smaller, but they're still entertaining. Their primary purpose is to buff you in various ways and aid in your escape. Now, they don't directly come down to help you, but let's say you find Zeus, he will make it so you can throw a lightning bolt. If you find Ares, he will make it so when you hit an enemy, it puts a sword over their head and does additional damage after a second or so. Not every one of these buffs is good, and you're going to find which ones work for you. Some of them, like, I'm not a really big fan of Athena's buffs. They're good for deflection, but I'm a much more aggressive player, so I prefer someone like Dionysus, who gives you poison damage. And let's talk about the gameplay while we're here. It's fast, furious, and impactful. Seriously, you cannot unfocus for even a second. You go from room to room, clearing out each enemy and then gathering a buff, or coins, or a meeting with the shopkeeper, or getting a different currency that you use in the House of Hades. That's one of the things about the game. After you clear a room, you might only have one option that, let's say, leads you to the coins, so you get more coins to spend at the shop. However, sometimes there'll be two choices, or sometimes even three, which means you have to pick which direction you're going to go. So sometimes, do you want to get more max HP? Do you want to get another buff? Or do you want to get some currency that you can use down the line? So you have to do all these little min-maxing choices, right? You need to decide, okay, if I don't take the HP here, can I get the coins and then go to the shop and buy HP on top of, say, getting a buff as well? These are all little choices that you have to make along the way. And what ultimately runs you, I'd say about generally when you get good, a run goes from only 30 to 40 minutes. It's not a very long game. And what I mean by game, I mean like it's not very long to get from the start of a run to the end of a run. It's not complete, it's still in early access, but from getting House of Hades to the current last boss, 35 to 40 minutes. That said, it's probably going to take you a good 15 to 20 hours to actually get capable to make it to the end. And let's talk about the combat real quick, which is frantic, like literally all the time. You're constantly moving, constantly dashing, casting, attacking, and dodging. On top of enemies, you have to dodge traps, lava, bombs, and anything else that they throw at you. It requires all of your attention, and one wrong move can result in severe damage or even a death. Getting to the end of this area is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to reserve as much HP as you can while pushing forward. As of right now, there are 5 weapons total: a sword, a spear, a bow, a shield, and the newest one is a gun. The shield, you can just think of like a Captain America. You can throw it and bash people, and then the rest, you know how a spear and a sword works. Each weapon has a special attack, charge attack, and normal attack. The attacks vary from weapon to weapon, but most have a basic attack, a knockback, and some sort of ranged attack. You are encouraged to beat the game with each weapon at least once. Defeating a boss for the first time with every weapon will net you that boss's reward again. You can also upgrade your weapons with Titan Blood. changing their appearance and altering their abilities. For instance, the Achilles spear can be thrown and then you rush to where the spear is for extra damage, instead of just throwing it and then retrieving it back to you. Again, these are not all winners, but the variety certainly helps with replayability. So what is the point of all this dying? Well, while you're out, you collect purple crystals, that's just called darkness, gems, and ambrosia. The ambrosia, you can use that to improve your relationship with the individuals of the underworld as well as the gods of Olympus. This will net you items that you can equip on your character. You can only have one equipped at a time, but they are very useful. For instance, one will basically give you an extra life. So when you die, you come back and then you have, 50% of your HP or whatever. You can upgrade these as well, but they are just upgraded by having them equipped and progressing in the game. The purple crystals, the darkness, these are used at your mirror in your room. You trade these for permanent buffs, which means when you have them, you use them at the mirror and you get, let's say, an additional dash or an additional cast of your magic spell, or you upgrade the boons for the gods that you find. So instead of common boons, it'll be a rare or an epic, which just means more damage or more status effects and things like that. These are something you'll be constantly throughout the entirety of the game looking for to upgrade yourself. Along with those two, there are gems that you'll be collecting. The House of Hades is currently under renovations and you can enhance it with these gems. Some of these just are, different colored drapes, fixing up the kitchen, getting yourself a wall scroll of Aphrodite in your room, things like that. However, there are some important ones like making some of the vases have gold in them. So you can get additional gold, which you can then use at the shop during a run. Not all of them are great. Some of them are just aesthetic, but still you're going to be collecting those gems for a long time. And to top all of this off, everything mixed in with this, there is Chaos. Chaos he's not 100% guaranteed, but every now and then a little circle will appear on the ground and you drop down to meet with Chaos. He will offer you a boon, but first off you have to suffer some consequences. For instance, you have to clear 4 rooms total. These rooms will have 50% additional enemies. When you complete it, you will gain 50 additional HP to your max HP. If you choose to have an audience with Chaos, you have to accept one of his boons, even if they're all terrible. If you find him early enough, let's say you find him at the first section before you even get to the first boss, you can then find him in the second section before the second boss. So you can stack these if you're really feeling bold. Each time I've actually beaten and gotten to the last boss, I have had at least one Chaos boon. It's very important. And after you clear everything and you get to the end, if you beat the last current boss, it basically just says, hey, let's all pretend that Zagreus got pummeled. And then you're taken back to the House of Hades and a Pact of Punishment is opened. This is basically designed so you can make the game harder on yourself, but the rewards for the bosses reset, which means you can use your weapons again to then gain those rewards and, upgrade the house further, get more ambrosia, diamonds, things like that. Or, of course, the Titan blood to upgrade your weapon. You don't have to do this, but it is additional endgame content. There's also what is called the Fated List. These are basically side quests that you get from the gods, like getting all of their boons and stuff like that, and they will give you rewards as well, just a little additional thing that you can do. I did have a few problems with the game. One of my biggest pet peeves in games actually is when a character has a shield, and that is basically blocking 360 degrees around them. This game suffers from it on occasion. I don't know what triggers it and what doesn't. When they're poisoned, it seems like they can be hit from behind, but when they're not, like when they don't have a dot, it seems like they block their back and above them, which is absurd. Some of the bosses feel a little lazy, like it's, okay, you bring them down a third of their HP, now they're invincible, here come the ads. Kill the ads, and then you're back on the ad. Another third HP, boss is invincible, more ads come, rinse and repeat. Like I said, just it's lazy. Anybody who does that, I really don't like it. It's boring design. And, of course, since you are going to be dying and trying to escape over and over, you're going to be going through the same rooms quite often. Now, the traps and the enemies might change, but it is going to get repetitive. Overall, Hades sets an extremely high standard for early access games. You will suffer many instances of just one more run during your escape from the underworld. Alright, that'll do it for me. If you liked what you saw, got what you needed, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Later, Gators!